right from the inception of this country. The Middle Belt has presented as the Middle Belt had presented herself as a stabilizing factor. And if it has been the stabilizing factor, it could also be as well the destabilizing factor, because the Middle Belt is a bridge between the extreme Muslim North and the extreme Southern, extreme Southern-based Christian-based South. And then you also have multiple ethnic groups. And there also you also witness the original conflict between the Fulani oligarchy and the indigenous Nigerian peoples. So actually from the Middle Belt. And right from the time the British came, the struggle had been there. You see, people normally make the mistake or the false assumption, spurious assertion that the Fulani Caliphate was in charge of it. It was conquered the entire. It was wrong. The Fulani Empire was just patches from one, except from Kano, from Jigawa, from Hadeja to Sokoto Caliphate, and then went even to Sokoto Caliphate. It wasn't even, a uniform state, because within Zamfara state, the present Zamfara, you're seeing, was never conquered by Usman Dan Fodio. And that explains why the conflict are there. Those people they are killing are the indigenous people who actually resisted the Sokoto Caliphate. In fact, at the eve of British intervention in 2003, one of the sultans of the Sokoto Caliphate was killed in battle while battling the Zamfara people. So you also see Argungu, which is in Kebbi State now, which is lying between Gwandu and Sokoto. Argungu was never conquered. In fact, in 1899, in their battle against Sokoto Caliphate, they defeated Sokoto Caliphate and then took their war drums, which they're still keeping them. You go to southern Kebbi State, where you have the Zulu people. They were never conquered. They defeated both Sokoto Caliphate and the Emir of Kotangora in 1898. You see, Britain, and you go to this present Middle Belt, Kano, Kaduna, Adamawa, Southern Bauchi, Southern Gombe, Southern Borono, they were never conquered. The Igala kingdom was there, the Jokun kingdom was there, so these people were never conquered. It was just the British economic, their own selfish economic interests, because the country was too vast for them to govern, and then there was no resources. At the time, there was nothing like granite. Granite was actually introduced from Senegal in the turn of the 20th century. There was nothing. So they were being fed. They were being fed with the resources of the South. And that was actually the reason for the amalgamation. So, and because of that cost of administration, the British decided to transfer most of these, most of these unconquered territories under, the Northern oligarchy into the devious system of indirect rule system. And that was how these people were subjugated. And they continued resisting. In 1912, in 1906, the Tiv people revolted at Ibi and massacred the Hausa and Fulani there until the British came and saved them. In 1938, the Tiv people in reaction again formed the Tiv Progress Union, the first progress union of Middle Belt movement. They continued resisting it until 1945 again, when because of the activities in the gold mine, most of us will be, most of us will be aware of the first anti-Igbo riot. That was 1945, and that was in Jos. The reason for the riot was that the Birom owners were being subdued by the immigrant Hausa and Fulani, miners in Jos. And they wanted to elect a colonial district person. The Hausa wanted to be there. The Birom said, no, it cannot. This is our land. They are just immigrant miners. And in the process, because the Igbo people had become prominent in the business of selling them. The Igbo supported the Birom, and for that reason, they turned against the Igbo and attacked the Igbo. That was the first anti-Igbo riot in 1945. So it continues. They continue resisting until 1949, when a prominent member of Northern House of Affairs moved a motion to resist Christian missionaries in the whole Northern region. And that was when they revolted. People like Obadiah Lot from Panshin formed a non-Muslim league, and it was then he also started this the Middle Belt League in 1950, and from there the Middle Belt Congress now started up. And it also interests us to know that the Northern People's Congress, which now became the symbol of the Fulani ruler, political machine in the First Republic, was actually founded by a Christian, Dr. R.A.B. Diko, the first medical doctor trained by Anglican Church, Anglican missionaries in Northern Nigeria. He founded the Northern People's Congress, and he was the first president until the emirs gathered and said, how can a Christian rule us? And they forced him to step down the account that, he was working for the colonial government, and then Ahmadu Bello was put in there. Ahmadu Bello came in there as a compensation because he contested for the position of the Sultan of Sokoto and he failed. So in order to compensate him, they now asked him to go and lead the political party. So the struggle had been on. Even till independence, most of us knew about the political realignment in the First Republic, where the United Middle Belt Congress was divided into two. The other, the Jos part, the Jos provincial part, was under Solomon Lal. Solomon Lal took over from Lot, and they were aligned with NCNC. Now that's led NCNC. And the United Middle Belt Congress in the Benue province, led by Joseph Taka, was aligned to Action Group. And the thief continued to reject that domination until after independence. Most of us who are conversant with history, we hear about the TV riot, in which a lot of them were locked up until Gowon took over and released them. And that was even one of the problems the Middle Belt had against Igbo, because Agi Ronsi refused, in spite of all pleadings, to release the 35 thief rioters imprisoned by Sarano of Sokoto. So the struggle had been there, and it has continued. Even through Gowon's regime, they never, before, most people did not know how Gowon became head of state. Gowon was not privy to the coup that removed Agi Ronsi. In fact, during the coup, Gowon was put under house arrest by Murtala Mohammed. He was actually put under house arrest. So it was Akaga, Joseph Akaga, a thief man, that actually said, no, release him, said, told Murtala Mohammed, you cannot be head of state. We're in charge of the army. And Gowon being the highest ranking Middle Belt, Middle Beltan soldier, the officer then, he was elected, he was put there. Gowon was put there by Akaga. And that was why Murtala Mohammed continued working throughout. Remember, during the Civil War, that because of disobedience, Gowon removed him away from the front after the Import Junction fiasco, when he was flatly defeated by the Biafran forces. And when Gowon questioned him, he attempted to insult Gowon. Gowon withdrew him and put him under signals. So unfortunately, he used his signals as commander of the signals section of Nigerian Army to plan and overthrow Gowon, even with the help of Middle Beltans. So that is actually, and it continues. You find that the Middle Belt have been in charge of the army. They've been in charge of the government, and whatever position the Fulani held today, it was the creation of the Middle Belt and the Southerners. The Fulani were not in the army. When Agi Ronsi came to power and was about to appoint the military governors of the 4 regions, there was no senior Fulani officer to take over the position. Murtala Mohammed was a captain. The highest person there was also a major, was a captain, Usman Katsina. Agi Ronsi gave Usman Katsina double promotion. from captain to major, from major to lieutenant, and I reported him on. The same thing.
Okay.
When let me conclude. When Murtala Mohammed died, the highest ranking Fulani officer was a Lieutenant Colonel, Shehu Yaradua. And because Obasanjo did not want to appoint Danjuma, his deputy, being a Christian instead of being a Christian, he promoted Yaradua from Lieutenant Colonel to Major General. So we made these people. Middle Belt made them. So that's the situation.
Okay, thank you. Now, how can we save the Middle Belt in this era where balkanization is gaining momentum in Nigeria?
First of all, yes, the Middle Belt. So the part of the problem we've been having actually came from the South, because the South have not been able to actually define the political configuration, correctly define the political configuration of Northern Nigeria. They've been talking north, even up to this moment. Most people in the South classify all Northerners as Hausa, simply because Hausa language is their lingua franca, which is wrong. The Middle Belt has more than, over 300 ethnic groups, more than the South. And they've been pursuing their self-determination right from the time, as I told you. And the South has not been coming in to protect them. You remember when there was the Zango-Kataf crisis during General Babangida's regime? It was an Igbo judge, Okaribo, that was put there to sentence General Letwork and others. So, to death sentence. So, the problem is that they've not been having strong support from the South, and they've not been able to come together as one people and define their own what, their own identity. The proper.
Okay, so tell me now, who are the Middle Belt? Which states make up the Middle Belt according to history?
Yes, first of all, there is the geographical aspect of the Middle Belt, which also has some historical, or let me just say some demographic problems when you define geographically. When you are talking of geographically, we are talking of Middle Belt. You now talk of Benue State, Taraba State, Adamawa State, Bauchi State, and not Bauchi, Southern Borno, then Gombe State, Southern Kaduna, Southern, and of course Southern Kebbi State. These are defined as Middle Belt. But then they also have Kwara when we are talking of Kwara State, and then have Niger State. Geographically, these are defined as Niger states. But when you're now talking in terms of ideologically, you find that because of the presence, intervening nature of Muslims and Christians there, and the danger, and the problem or the pressure being on the Christian group, the Middle Belt, in terms of nationalist struggle ideologically, now became defined as the Christian, the Christian parts of this area. Now they became the Middle Belters. And you can see where you have majority of Christians there. You have the majority Christian in Taraba State, you have majority Christians in Plateau State, Benue State, and then Bauchi State, Adamawa State. These are areas you have a majority Christian. Then Southern Kaduna, in fact, in the whole Kaduna State, if you actually carried out real unbiased population count, the Christians are majority. Because at the time Katsina State was created out of old Kaduna State, the present northern part of Kaduna State had only, they were left with 16 local government areas. 16 local government areas. 11 were of the Southern Kaduna. Then 5 were of the Northern Kaduna. And what Abacha did was to triple that, that northern part, and gave them double constituencies, then putting them in majority. So, and when you have double constituencies, manipulation of election results are there. You go to Adamawa too, the Christians are majority. You go to Bauchi, the problem is that over time, these people have been divested of economic power. I know for you to contest the election, you need economic power. And that is why.
So let's talk about their strength in numbers now. What do you think is their estimated population geographically, not ideologically?
Well, I don't know about, I'm always very, very cautious in defining demography in terms of numbers, because since 1963, Nigeria had never had a credible population count. Everything had been on manipulation. Yeah, so I really don't want to say that. But then, when you judge the districts, when you go internally, within the internal configurations and the local governments, within the states, you know that the Christians are a majority. Even in Kaduna State, there are two other, when you're talking of Kaduna Central, Kaduna Senatorial Central, two other local governments there, even though they claim is a majority Hausa, Fulani, within the Kaduna Central, the two local governments in the rural and outside the Kaduna city itself are Christians, and they claim they are middle belt because they're majority Christian. In fact, if you even go to Kano, if you go to Kano State, the Tudunwada, the people, Tudunwada local government in Kano, which has boundary with Saminaka local government in Kaduna State, they're Christian, they're majority Christians. They don't count them, they don't give them that position. And you can see about it that because of that manipulation, these people have been treated unjustly. I give you instances. Recently, not far ago, a traditional Christian chieftaincy title in Gombe State, over time, the owner have been Christian, it's a Christian majority local government that have been ruled by a Christian king. Recently, the governor appointed a Muslim as their king from nowhere. People protest and nothing happened. In Benue, in Borno State, there was a time the chief judge, the highest ranking judge there was a Christian. But because he was a Christian, he was dropped and was not made the chief judge. Recently in Kebbi State, a woman, the chief judge, because the chief judge was a Christian, the chief judge is a Christian, he had the highest ranking judge there, who should be the chief judge of the state, is a woman. She was dropped and a Muslim appointed. But nobody is talking about this.
Okay, so you're saying that one of the major divides in the Middle Belt states are the religious divide.
That is, Middle Belt is defined religiously as Christian now. That is the basis of their own nationalism. That is the basis of their own ideology. Why the rest not the Fulani-driven Upper North and Nupe Muslims define their own nationalism in terms of Islam. So within the Middle Belt setting, the basis of their nationalism is Christianity.
Okay, now let's look at the state of affairs in Nigeria. The Middle Belt states have suffered insecurity like most states in Nigeria. How do you think we can rescue the Middle Belt and strengthen them?
Yes, it is the mistake of our not going to rescue them that we are suffering now. It's the consequences that the South is suffering. Because when they were being attacked, there was the crisis in Nasarawa State, in fact, during which about over 100 security mobile policemen were killed there because they were hired by the Fulani to go and attack the natives. They have been there. You remember the Jos own, remember the Taraba own. Why Atiku with his Fulani people have not taken out Taraba? It was that Danjuma said never in his life will a Muslim rule Taraba State. And that is what, let me tell you, Dariye, the first crisis in Plateau, where Muslims attacked Christians in their church, they killed over 40. And when Christians retaliated, President Obasanjo, in order to please those people who said they put him in power, but actually they did not put him in power, except that they brought him to stabilize the already problematic polity of Nigeria following the June 12th annulment. So, but because in order to please them, he declared state of emergency. And today, Dariye is in prisons. serving terms of imprisonment for corruption in Yemen. Reverend Jolly in Yemen, former governor, is also in prison. Are these people, were they the only corrupt people during their regime? The problem was that these people were staunchly opposed to this Muslim domination. And that was why they climbed them into detention. And nobody's talking about that. People moving, other leaders are just moving along their way, like Lalong. They want to have their records as governors, embezzlement, and then eating money without thinking about their future generation. And they're killing their people. So the basic point where we can come in is intervention. The South, that has the economic power to confront the North, has not been investing politically. But the Fulani have been using our money and been investing in the South politically and establishing stooges like like among the Igbo, you have stooges, someone like Ojo Sokalo, you see all of them. You are governor, Imo State Governor, Hope, Usodema. These were the people that were implanted there. That is political investment. In the, in the West, in the Southwest, you also see them investing politically with false promises. Governor of Ebonyi State, they promised, oh, we make you president, and he moved in. Governor of, what is it? Governor of Cross River, oh, we promise you be governor, you be president, and we just go in there. Whereas the South has not been invested. What is political investment? We talked about the case of Jews in the United States of America, that today everybody who wants to, who actually wants to become the president of the United States must make it a point to address the IPAC, the American, Israeli, Progressive Association. They must, because of the power of the Jews, because of the ability of the Jews in the United States to call the shots. And then we have businessmen here, politicians who had money. You cannot go to the North and say, look, Kaduna State, it is the turn of the Southern Kaduna people to produce the governor of the state. Now we are investing money to you. And when you put their people there, you also protect yourself. Because when there's conflict, then they will now know, they will protect Igbo interests. You don't reap where you did not sow. That is the point. And now there is crisis. And if the Fulani people know that the Igbo people are in alliance, that they've invested in these people's political growth and their political alignment, they will not recklessly go and start killing them, because they know that those people who invested in their political development will also come physically to protect them. And then the other one is that now the Muslims have been, the Sokoto, the Fulani in particular, have been able to clandestinely, network all the Muslim groups in Nigeria today, giving them the false impression that the battle in Nigeria is between Christians and Muslims. While at the same time, telling the Igbo, you can never be trusted by the Yoruba, telling the Yoruba you can never be trusted by Igbo. And when we are fighting dirty over our ethnic identity in the South, they are using Islam to do what? To tie over their, their group, tie them together against us. So the first of all is that we must, when Adolf Hitler said, when you bring physical solution to a spiritual problem, it is merely defensive. If for you to bring a spiritual solution to a spiritual problem, you must apply what? A spiritual solution to it, and not physical. And when you are dealing with Fulani people who are using religion and you are using ethnicity to fight them, you are wasting time. When they apply religion, you also apply religion. Because I know, if without the support of Christians in the South and in North, no Fulani man can be president. Buhari became president because of the massive support given by short-sighted, myopic Christian leaders in this country, including people like Pastor Bakari and a lot of them. And today, all of them are regretting it.
Okay, remember that you can join the conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate you. I'll try to accommodate your questions and comments as much as time permits us. Now, you talked so much about intervention and trying to unify the South the South and the Middle Belt. But can you clarify on the actual threats that are facing the Middle Belt today?
Well, it's not a question of clarifying the actual. There is pogrom. It's not even pogrom, because pogrom is just a small matter. There is genocide going on in the Middle Belt. Where the pogrom is going on in the South, it is genocide that is going on in the Middle Belt. And you could also see it from what happened 2 days ago. And I told your man that is streamlining, one of the scenes where an Anglican bishop was praying over the dead, covered with leaves. Benue State, nobody talks about the hundreds of them. Benue State, they are now accustomed to burying the dead. Plateau State, they are now accustomed to burying the dead. And nobody's talking. Every day we move to the church, we pray, God save us. We want to go to heaven. You are going to heaven where the earth God has kept you. You've not been able to maintain it and keep it properly. You are going to hell. You are just going to be treated like the wicked servant. Yes, you are just going to be treated like the wicked servant if you fail to do what you expected to do. Yes, thank you for streaming it. This just 2 days ago, and that's an Anglican bishop.
An shigo mana Angondo, an kashe mana mutane ɗaya har zuwa 16. An jima waɗansu rauni, muna son duniya ta sani. Ni mun magana sai a ce karya muke yi. Ga gawaki nan guda 9. Waɗanda ba komai suka yi wa kowa ba, amma mai da su gawaki yau. Mun yi magana gwamnati ta ce muna karya, gwamnati ta gan aikin hannunta. Ba mu taba samun irin gwamnatin da zub da jini bai dame su ba. Ba mu taba samun irin gwamnatin da ana kashe mutane kaman kuɗa bai dame su ba. Mutanen nan kuwa da suke shiga suna wannan barnan an san su. Suna kuwa fadi har da rubuta wasiƙa cewa za su zo su yi barna. Ana sani su shigo gari a gama a kashe ba yi komi ba. Amma idan an taba wani guda ɗaya sai su tashi suna magana cewa a fito a karkashe masu bi. To yanzu an karkashe masu bi guda ɗaya zuwa 16. Suwa za su yi magana? Idan mu masu bi yanzu mun tashi mun ce to, su ma mu ma sai mun rama. An yi haka nan a Jos, an kashe mutanen Regbai, an kashe su. Kabila kusan an kashe 70, an kone gidaje kusan 400 da wani abu, ba yi magana ba. Matasa suka hau kan hanya sun kama waɗansu da makame suka kashe, an tashi duniya duka suna ce an kashe musulmi, an kashe masallata, sai an rama. Mun fara ganin ramakon da suke fadi. Duk waɗanda suke magana cewa sai an rama a bi su a kama su, an kashe mana namu. Waɗannan me suka yi da aka kashe su? Mu unguwan domai muka yi ma mutane, muna son duniya ta ci, let the world hear this. It has been in record every day. We have been killed as flies. And when we talk, people say we are lying. The government is not there to defend us. We've never seen any government that so desire in blood sucking like this government. And when we talk, people say that we are being biased. People talk that we are not supporting the party or supporting the government. Which kind of government is that allowed people, his own citizens, to be killed every day? We are being killed. God will fight for us. God will raise a standard for us. And if they have the weapon, we will have our own God. We pray God to rise on our behalf. And let the world know. Lying here are 9 corpses out of the 16 killed. And one that was taken to the hospital thinking that she was going to survive. She also died in the hospital. So we have lost 17 people from this village. And the government, if we talk, the government will say that we are becoming biased, that we are supporting one political party. Let the truth be said. Let the whole world know. I stand here as Khan chairman of Zongon Katab local government to cry on behalf of this family, to cry on behalf of the Christian community. For how long will the government of El Rufai and the government of Buhari allow us to be killed like this? For how long? For how long? And when we talk, they will talk of security. And we have come to see how biased it is. No any security men hanging around our villages, but go to Zangon Katab. There is a checkpoint. There is a presence of military officers all over. And how many of our villages have the presence of military officers? None. And when we talk, they'll say we are lying. And they will call us for peace talk. After killing us, they will call for another peace talk. And after peace talk, they will kill us. What is the peace talk all about? I want the world to know. Because we are online, let the world know that every day we are being killed. Every day we are being hunted down. Every day our houses, only God knows how many houses were burnt and destroyed. How many of our farmlands been destroyed? Every day, the Fulani will bring their cows, put into our farms, and nobody will talk. And tomorrow they will tell lies to us that unknown gunmen. Who are the unknown gunmen? Who are the unknown gunmen? Where did they get the guns? That they are killing us every day, and the government will tell us that it's the unknown government. Unknown gunmen. They know them. They know them by their names. They know them. Every day they know where they are.
Well, that was a very, very moving video. Thank you so much, Elumba Television, for sharing that. Let us try to go back to our guest. I mean, this is just a typical example of what our guest is talking about. Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
Yes.
Doctor, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, before the screen sharing, I know everybody's emotions are up right now, but let's just try to go back to the discussion. Before the screen sharing, you were talking about how the South can invest in the Middle Belt. Now, what part of the Southern region are you talking about? The Southeast, the South-South, or the Southwest, or you're talking about the South in general?
I am talking both this South-South and Southeast and Southwest. But then the Southeast has the potentials of investing more, better. Because over time, the Southeast, the Igbo in particular, have suffered the same pogrom. Every riot in the North, if it has happened in the state capital, the Igbo should have been the target. So the Igbo and the Middle Belters are sharing the same experience. And when you are suffering, when two people are suffering the same thing, they have to unite for the same common enemy. Every time the Igbo people's shops, their businesses are destroyed in the upper north among Muslim areas, no compensation, nobody has ever been brought before the court of law to be punished. We had situations where an Igbo woman from Imo State was brought out from her shop and murdered life under the pretext that they saw her clearing the buttocks of her baby with a Quran, which was false, which nobody talked about, nobody. So the Igbo in particular, because when you are talking of Christianity, the Igbo people are actually the drivers of Christianity in Nigeria. Because wherever the Igbo man goes, after his ethnic association, the next point of identity is Christianity. And that is why the Fulani, both their government and the people, are targeting the East to do what? To demobilize them. Because they know once they demobilize the Igbo, the Middle Belt and other people will also be demobilized. Because the strength behind Christianity in this country lies with the Igbo. So the Igbo have to take the lead. When the Igbo takes the lead, the South-South will now come in with their radicalism. Because the problem is that the Igbo leadership are institutionally conservative. And that has been the bane of the Igbo problem in this country. When one person will be promised, we make you president, people like Ojo Sokala, he will carry all resources and moving. Rocha Sokolocha is even talking about building a university in Katsina State. Why they're killing his people? Why is it because I don't know? So we really need a young, a reemergence, another set of Igbo youths who understand the intricacies of history, who really understand the historical experience, the ugly historical experiences of their people, who also clearly conversant, clearly conscious of the present crisis, to drive in and build a cogent bridge between the Middle Belt and the South for self-defense. The other time, Benue State had this year alone, Benue State had buried over 100 people, and the federal government never took action. And then when they killed about 26 of Igbo indigenes in Benue State, the only thing Omaiku would tell Governor Otto was that if you cannot protect our people, we take them to Abia State. We take them to Ebonyi State. Was that supposed to come from a sensible leader? You have not even talked about, look, Ebonyi people have been killed, farmers have been murdered severally. Benue State, you have not even tried to meet your colleague. My brother Autumn, this is a common problem. How do we solve it? They're killing your people, they're killing my people. And the next thing, the people killing you now came and told you, look, we make you president if you join us. And you join them. And the Ebonyi State people don't know. Ebonyi State people are being mortgaged because they are taking Sukuk loan from Saudi Arabia under the guidance of the federal government. So they're being mortgaged. The same thing, Nigeria is being mortgaged. So most of the loans being taken are from Islamic banks under Sukuk. And that is why they're introducing this idea of toll gates. And when the president is talking about, when the president spoke about grazing grazing tracts or grazing field, he was talking in terms of that Sukuk bond. Because Sukuk bond is not interest, it's not interest, it's joint ownership. For those who understand what Sukuk bond is all about. When you take loan from Arab bank or Islamic bank, of which Nigeria is a member, being a member of OSC, when you take it under Sukuk, it is joint ownership. It means that the Saudis, the owners, the Muslims have power to construct mosque on the way. They have also right to also do everything on that road they help you to construct with that loan, because it's joint ownership. That is the danger most people don't know we are going through. Tomorrow, they will say, we take this loan. National Assembly will just go around and take over the loan. And people are talking, and when you talk of our GDP, they will, we are $2,000, $2,000 per capita GDP. But that is gross. When you bring out the net, you find that Nigeria is even below $20 per capita income. When you add up all the loans being taken by federal government, and we're just watching. People are interested in what they put in their mouth today, and that is all. Right? Big cars, build houses, big titles. Where I'm chief, I'm governor, I'm senator, without thinking about your future. It is better. You see, when Israelis are going to war, they're not going to war because of the people living. They're going to war for two things. First, so that what happened in the past will not happen in the present. And secondly, so that their generations will be spared, not them. They're ready to die for today because of the coming generation. And until we develop that spirit, we are not going anywhere. We're always thinking about the product. And that is why throughout Africa today and throughout Africa, most of the countries, 50% of our people in these countries are engaged in cyber crime because they want to make money quickly. You go to the prisons, most of them are because they want to make quick money. Quick money. They're not thinking of tomorrow. They're not thinking of their generations. It's just to have that money. Until we bring morality into our money making, then the idea, the spirituality guiding our nationalism.
Hello, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Okay, I'm sorry. My network was interrupting. That's why I had to cut you short. I can see Elder Tango's hand up. Elder Tango, your hand is up. Let's hear from you.
With myself, thank you for having me. Thank you to
Every time you say they're having you, who is having you?
Elumba, Elumba having me. Thank you, Doctor. Doctor too. Doctor, look, I'm very, very happy with the way you analyze everything. You touch it. You touch my heart because all you said is 100% plus true. The Fulanis are very intelligent. Today now, we're talking about how to help Benue. Do you know that the Benue man is the chairman of Arewa Forum today?
Yes.
Fulanis are not fool. Eh?
Yes.
They are not fool. They allow Benue man to kill Benue people, and the Benue man is the chairman of Arewa. Please remember me his name.
Yeah. Awudogbe.
Yes.
Awudogbe, yes.
He's the chairman of Arewa Forum. So people will think, but Fulani is enemy to nature, enemy to environment, enemy to human being. I know these people. I work with them. I live with them. They are not good tenants. They are not good neighbor. I didn't hate them, but I studied them very, very well. When I talk about them, I know them. And a Southerner who haven't traveled wide, around Nigeria normal, we think the whole north. Those people are very good because I grew up in Onitsha with Seriki Hausa family. We are family friends. The Pia Hausas that time. We are very good friends. These people are very good. Okay, I still move out. By time of my service, if you go to the north, do you know Zulu? Nobody talk about Zulu now.
Yes, in Kebbi State. Kebbi State.
These people, these Buddha people. I remember their name again. I will call it. Yes. Plateau, we are talking now. Plateau.
Lakakari. Yes, in Zulu Emirate. Yes.
And gas, Shosho. This is the one from Shosho tribe. All these Plateau have different language, different culture. And most of them are Christian, as you said. Coming down to Kaduna State, Zaria, there you see Hausa. They also emulate in Zaria, they weaken it. Coming down to Southern Zaria, thank God to this smart news, internet. They have been killing this Southern Zaria, Kaboro Kafanshine. When there was no internet, we can't see all this we're seeing now. They have been fighting them. I think you know how they bring any of one emir in Kafanshine, how emir Kafanshine take place. All this is have history. These people have been fighting for this people for long, and they have been defending themselves. But the problem we have that now everybody is a victim now. So, like if it's in army, you will situation bring coup. When the country is in hardship, any coup plotter will have support. He will come as a messiah. A messiah. So the situation in Nigeria now, if the Benue people are not free today, Satans and are not free. By this time, nobody will be free again for these Fulanis. So the problem with the Benue people, if you are escorting somebody back home, that person will be in the front. When Benue people made up their mind now that they have no who really enemy be, because when we are talking of Benue, we talk of our home in the south too. A River State man see Bowman as his problem, but today they know who is the real enemy. The same thing everywhere. And the problem, Nigerian problem is Yoruba dishonesty and Igbo dishonesty among them is trust. Fulani capitalize on it. When indirect rule, the British system, what they used to rule the world, you need power, they give the type of power they want. You are in power, but you are not in power. When Fulani come, they will plant an agent, give him every money, tolerate all his evil. Whatever you do is good. But they are falling all down for him.
Yes.
Till the raining day. So any day he go out of use, they will bring everything. It can be 80 billion, or it can be doing any evil. Fulani will be keeping it in the safe, in archive for you. So far you are still useful. Any day you go out off track, any day you try to, now, let me defend my people.
Let's hear from someone else. Thank you.
Wait a minute. So what we do now is how to help the middle belt is that the awareness we build. When we build up awareness, we know really, because a doctor doesn't cure sickness, don't know the cause or the reason of the sickness. These people understand now really what is the problem. Then we go to solution. The problem now every Nigerian now have. That's why when I talk of now, the kind of people say I do love it because awareness is created. people will not create it in 100 years to come. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Elder Tango. Now, someone sent me a direct message, and it's a question for the guest. The person said, that's Beatrice. Mr. Beatrice said, I find the speaker to be very knowledgeable about the subject. What is his understanding of the old Kwararafa kingdom in the Middle Belt? Can we use it as a point of reference when we talk about our unity in the past? Thank you. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, that question is for you. Did you hear me?
Okay, thank you. Yes, it's Kwararafa kingdom was actually a very once the largest kingdom in the north, because when you're talking of Kwararafa kingdom, you're talking of the Jukin kingdom with Wukari as a headquarters in Taraba State and with the Akuka as their traditional ruler. In fact, at a point they conquered up to Kano. If you go to Kano, if you read Kano Chronicles written in the 16th century, 16th century, Kano Chronicles will give you accounts of how the Kwararafa conquered Kano State, invaded them and destroyed them. So Kwararafa, in fact, if you look at the present Igala kingdom, the first stage of Igala kingdom after the traditional Akpoto was Benin, was actually Benin dynasty that even gave them the Ata title by Aji Ata, a prince of Benin kingdom. Later, the Kwararafa invaded Igala kingdom and conquered up to Nupe, that the present Ata dynasty is of Kwararafa origin in Igala. So the Kwararafa was actually dominant. So, and if they can use it as a point of a point of unity, it will be very, very well. And that was why I was not happy with Boni Haruna when he was governor. When the king of Bachama people, which is the Bachama are one of the largest ethnic groups in present Adamawa State, and when the Fulani people were erecting mosque close to his own palace, and he protested, what his own son, who was a governor, Boni Haruna, was to demote him and then exile him because Atiku ordered him to do so. So we also have problem. We have problem with these our leaders. Rekiatu Samson was only Christian, only woman in Bauchi House of Assembly. She was suspended because she asked a question: why should a woman come there and but she was elected. And when she was suspended indefinitely, no Northerner, no Christian in the whole country came out to defend her, except Orisha Jeffo as camp president was talking, and nothing happened. So oftentimes we have problem of not coming together to defend our cause. But the Fulani people will always do that. Look at the criminal. What is it? The policeman of whose people what's his name? Abakiare. Look at him. Even though you could say his cyber crime was clear as reported by FIB, and yes, some Fulani people are still defending him, getting lawyer for him, and so on and so on. Think if I were the person, will I still be in Nigeria today? They should have packaged me straight away to the FIB in the United States. That's their plan. And we've not tried because of our lack of historical knowledge. It's not just having historical knowledge, but ability to apply your history for the present, for the interest of the future. We cannot do it. Unity.
Okay, thank you so much.
Most of our problems are our Christian leaders. Whether you're a Roman Catholic, you're a Protestant, you're Anglican, you are a Pentecostal, you are selfishly oriented. And you are selfishly oriented until you bring yourself down to the original visions of the European missionaries that brought Christianity to us, which is selfless service. We never see the right of way. And for us to do it, we have to bring these our church leaders to their toe first for us to move, because they are the people who have the ability to talk to people every day, every week in their churches. And they continue telling you about money in the present and eternal life in the future without thinking of how your security is determined in the present day.
Thank you so much. Let us call the next person. I can see in JJ Media.
We still have a couple of work to do. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this evening conversation. You know, having listened to
Louder.
Sorry, can you hear me better?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Sorry. Pardon me. My bad. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So having listened.
Thunder of fire this light at the chop con.
Sorry?
Yes.
Okay. So having listened.
Thunder of fire this light.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry about that interruption. Now, having listened to all, I must say what first. Odogwu Ibuzo, I agree with you. I agree with you. You've done an excellent job there, laying the foundation. Now, I think the problems we all know. We all know about the program of before the war. We all know how what happened during the war. All these things we know. Now,
Louder.
the time has changed. So time, like I said, time has changed, and because time has changed, the realities are now different. And because realities are now different, the approach to solving the quagmire we have today is now also different. Having said that, what do I mean by that? We have a situation where the part of the title to this evening conversation, well, I agree with the first part, but not in unnecessarily agreeing with the second one, where he says, save the middle belt to save Nigeria. I mean, I agree with the first one, save the middle belt. But I can't save anyone who doesn't want to be saved anyway. So, and having said that, I would say that the middle belt, as Tango said, pardon me, but I must say this in my lingua franca, which is onye nsị na-akpa na-ebu ụzọ. We have certain realities, especially the eastern part of Nigeria, where at some point was a little bit upfront in solving the problem considered to be of the others. Sadly, fingers were burnt very badly. Over 3 million people lost. Bearing that reality in mind, yes, new frontiers must be opened. New friends must be made. In doing so, we want also, I would say part of the solution will be become to be led in that. I know we are doing a lot and enough at the background. But again, reading the people online, I mean, we have many people watching online and reading the comments, and you can see where the angst of the people lie. There is, there appears, when you read the comments online, there appears to be this sense of, people trying to kind of be a little bit not too much careful, but at the same time being careful and to say, okay, we are willing to go this route because an injustice done to one is an injustice done to all. We are together in this, in trying to create and strike a balance. But in doing so, there must be certain elements that must be seen to be speaking for the people of Middle Belt in this direction. I think, I can't remember, I think the speaker, Ogbueshi Ubozo, made a comment that even in the midst of all these things happening, the chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum is the person of the former Minister of Agriculture. We all know where he came from. Therefore, sorry, that is audio, yeah. So if we know where he comes from, and even I think before him was it Jeremiah Oseni?
Jeremiah say, yeah.
So you can see there is a play. There is like a ping pong play. I remember having a conversation with someone. I said, how come actually, if we know, and many people argue, oh, Fulani does this, Fulani does the other, do the other one. And they say, how come every one of us, or well, those then as adults, we're all alive? The 12 states creation happened and was created by someone who ought to also know he was being used. But the question then was, is he not alive that to the idea that he was being used, or was he just playing? I don't want to use the D word, but was he just playing along that he was being used? Why is it that only when after the deed has been done, damage done, that we started crying? Now, I think in conclusion here, my take is, yes, there is need, and every need to build an alliance, so that, bear in mind, it's like someone building a ridge. The middle belt serves as the buffer. If you break this ridge, if this buffer is broken, my dear, I think any military strategist will tell you that, you know, in such cases, what you do is to reinforce whatever you have across, as to wait when your house is invaded. Thank you very much. I hope I've made my point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let us hear from Akambe Moses.
Please, can I comment on this so that I don't miss some points? Yes, because
okay, please go ahead. And after you do that, then we'll call on the next person.
First of all, Njenje TV, thank you very much. But you see, most of problems we have is lack of depth knowledge of the intricacies of the Civil War. Politics that are played during the pogrom and politics that are played during the Civil War. And I'm talking as a professional historian without bias. I know we suffered, my family suffered pogrom, my family suffered in the Civil War. In my own family today, I can count many people that went to the war, they never returned, many people that were killed in my presence as a kid. So we have to be very biased. There have been that misconception about the creation of the 6 states or the federation as a punitive measure against Biafra. I have to correct it. Then there was that, false impression that the Middle Belt also, joined in the program against Igbo. You must understand the background, from the coup background. First of all, I will say that the Igbo leadership had to be blamed for what happened, transpired, penultimate the program. And that is what is still happening today. Some of them dying and whining with the Fulani, where they clean their people. The same thing that happened in 1966. If you look at the coup of 1966, and I repeat it, the North, led by Nsukka, was successful, and they were in jubilant mood. But the South, led by Ifajuna, an Igbo man, was a failure. And again, the politicians were killed. No Igbo, the Northern politicians were killed, Northern military officers were killed, especially the Middle Belters. No Igbo senior military officer was killed. Maybe just one, because of his disagreement with them. And then no Igbo senior political officer was killed. I want us to be morally guided in this matter. Even after the coup, Aguiyi took over. Because most of them said, we are not against the killing of the politicians. But there was no reason why you should have killed Pam. Okay, you also killed Yoruba Christian. There was no way where you should have even killed Aboderin. He's from a place he was a Christian. 2 senior military Christians were killed. And even after that, they endured it for 6 months under Aguiyi. And when thief people were arrested and put in prison, 35 of them, by Ahmadu Bello, released them. Aguiyi refused to release. I know the TV people were the gunners. The rank and file of the Nigerian army or the first were dominated by thief people. And that was why Colonel Akaha, the first chief of defense of Nigerian army, was the main man that appointed Gowon head of state, not Gowon, because Murtala Mohammed never wanted Gowon to be head of state. Gowon was put on.
Dr. Nwaezeigwe, let's proceed, please. So because we have some minutes, and if we are not careful, we cannot finish this conversation.
Because so these are the issues. These are some other issues people raise about it. If you want to, you see, when you start prodding into an old man's cloth, you must really get a mess out of it. Let us go back to the past.
Okay.
Let us talk about the present, because when you go to the past, you have to blame. When you're talking about six states, when you're talking about six creation, the Middle Belt have been talking about state creation. The core Southern minorities have been talking about state creation. The Midwest minorities have been talking about state creation. Zik, Azikiwe, and Ahmadu Bello decided to create Midwest because they wanted to undermine Awolowo, and they refused to create Middle Belt state, Middle Belt region, which was being demanded. They refused to create core state. This is a clandestine move between people. That is causing a problem today.
Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
Yes, let's not go into that.
Remember that we're going to have remember that we may have an informal discussion after this, so you can have this discussion after that. Let us speak to Mr. Japheth Philip. Okay. Japheth Philip, the platform is yours. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nwankwo, Nwaezeigwe, and the uncle, and everyone that is on this call. This discussion is apt and timely, and I'd like to thank Dr. Nwankwo for this very beautiful presentation, and other speakers who have added their thoughts on this subject matter. Going forward, I think we all understand where the challenges are. What we should be doing, to my mind, is to provide solutions as to how we can overcome these challenges. In practical terms, how can we navigate from where we are to that desired point where we want to go? This, for me, should be what we should be doing. We all know, we are conversant with the history of how Nigeria emerged before the amalgamation in 1914, the independence and everything that has transpired. We are very conversant with the issues. So for me, I think going forward, we should talk about solutions on how to navigate from the challenges that we are in at the moment. Having said that, I'd like to say this. It has to start from our thinking as a people. The average Middle Belton or a Southerner from the West, East, or South has this mentality that he has to go and seek blessing from the House of Fulani oligarchy to ascend to a political position. That is one thing that we must change first, because everything has to do with our mindset. If we don't change that mentality, then we shadows. We have to think, understand that he can ascend to position of power without the House of Fulani man. We must come to that point, because I'm saying this from experience. The House of Fulani are very, very okay. They're very pleased with such people who go to play allegiance. Someone made an example with Audobi, Jeremiah Husseini. I mean, the present chairman of the Northern Governors Forum is Simon Lalong from Plateau State. But I mean, what are we talking about? So first of all, we must change our thinking to come to a place where we agree that we can achieve everything without the House of Fulani man. That's one. Secondly, we need to raise the awareness about the subject of this self-determination that we are talking about. We should get people in small groups in the Southwest, in the Southeast, in the South-South, in the Middle Belt to talk about these issues. We should sensitize and educate our people, because if we don't get that mass participation, we can only be wasting our time. Thirdly, we need to be deliberate about leadership. The kind of people we elect to represent us in all the three tiers of government, whether in the executive, in the legislature, or in the judiciary, the kind of people that we support to get to where they are, it should be very critical, because no society can rise above the level of its leaders. As we speak, there is no rallying point in the Middle Belt. There's no one to speak for the Middle Belt. We have a number of people speaking in the South-South, in the Southwest, and in the Southeast, but in the Middle Belt, there's none. And that's an issue. So in strengthening the alliance between the South and the Middle Belt, we must look at practicable terms, practicable issues, viable solutions that will take us there. If we keep going around cycles about history and all of that, we understand the challenges. We all know the challenges. What we should be doing is to be working out an action plan, a strategic plan, that is smart for us to get that which we desire, self-determination. If for some reason we are not able to break away from Nigeria before 2023, what happens? We should have plan A, B, and C. For me, this is what we should be doing, rather than going around cycles and talking about history. We understand the issues. Practical solutions that we proffer so that we move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Philip. Let us hear from Mazi Okoye. Mazi HTM Okoye.
Thank you.
You are the next person on my list.
Thank you, Augusta.
Please let us try to keep our submissions and questions as brief as possible so we can round off the program.
Yes,
go ahead, Mazi Okoye.
Thank you. I just want to make a small observation. When we have conversation like this, especially a political conversation like we're having it today, it's important to be mindful of the terms and try as much as possible to emphasize properly what we are talking about. We in the Southeast, we are not looking to help the Middle Belt. I've heard some people say, okay, how can we help the Middle Belt? We're not looking to help the Middle Belt. We are looking for allies. We're looking for mutual help, everything got to be mutual. It's important to emphasize this so that people don't think that, okay, they have some kind of upper hand against the other. That's not how politics works. We've got to make sure that we define that they are allies, they are our allies. We're on equal terms. We're on level terms when it comes to what we are pursuing. When it comes to what we're pursuing, that's the small observation that I want to make, so that those at the Middle Belt wouldn't feel like those at the Southeast are trying to lord it over them in terms of help. Nobody's trying to help anybody here. We're all in it together as one entity, as an allies, try to forge a path forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mazi Okoye. Let us hear from Paul Y. Paul Y.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much
Good evening.
for organizing this, and thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. When I saw the call to come on this platform, I came with eagerness and anticipation, and my understanding of, just like Okoye has just said there, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I think it should be understand the Middle Belt rather than save the Middle Belt for me. I always love to listen to historians, but I also, even though I'm not a historian, I understand that when historians talk, they say something about a school of thought, or because every historian has his different narrative of maybe the same story they're talking about. So we are looking for solutions to save Nigeria. We, the indigents of Nigeria, want to take our country back. This is my understanding. Now, having said that, I want us to understand that the Middle Belt, the complexity of the Middle Belt is so enormous that, you know, the total nationality of Nigeria, the diversity of Nigeria, most of it is concentrated in that Middle Belt. For example, I come from a town called Kwe. If you go 2 miles down the road, they are speaking a language I do not understand a single word in what they're saying. And that spreads from Southern Kaduna, Plateau, Taraba, you have small nationalities like that. I call them nationalities, not tribes. So we have been sold a dummy for a long, long, long time. Because of the diversity in our language, these people that we are now having these issues with, they have got a unilateral, they have one single language that they use. And when they have an argument, they go to a place they call a zauri. Zauri means the forecourt of a palace somewhere. And within one night, they will solve all the problems that the Hausa Fulani people have in the whole country in one sitting, in that zauri sitting. Because they have one religion, they have one language that they speak. And they go to their mosque, you can't come there. You have friends who are Muslims, you can never go into their sitting room, but they come to your house and sit in your sitting room with you, your wife and your children, but you will never go into their house and sit with them. So you will never know what they are talking about. They have sections in their houses where different kind of people can go. So we are looking for alliance, as my brother there said, and you don't put somebody you're seeking alliance with in a position where they will have to defend themselves. Because every narrative you bring to a conversation, people have different narratives of the same conversation that you're having. So they're seeing it from different angles. So let's not try and put people in a position where they have to explain themselves or defend themselves. Most of us, like the gentleman before Okoye spoke, we know the problems. So they have been working for hundreds of years. We are now trying to figure out how we are going to start working together. So your knowledge, sir, should help us in that guide. How do you think, from your bank of knowledge and understanding of these situations, the Igbo who is a little bit wary in terms of trusting the middle belt person, and the middle belt person who is not quite sure how to come back after the Biafra situation, because we were used to kill the Igbos. We were used to fight the Igbos. So we've now just realized that. Our children are just beginning to realize that a Calabar man is different from an Igbo man. A River State man is different from a Calabar man. We didn't know that in the 60s. So with your history and your knowledge, how can we now bring ourselves to a point where we say, look, brother, I'm sorry, I was used. I was sold a dummy. I was a champion of the Arewa situation without knowing. I didn't have to read history, I lived it. I schooled in Katsina, I work in Nigerian Television Authority. I've been with them almost all my life. But also on the other hand, Carlo James from Nsukka was like my mother's second son. During the Biafran War, we had to find a way to get all the Igbos in my hometown back home. The chief of my hometown actually traveled with them to make sure they got home well. So all these things are stuff that we know you can come with your own narrative, but the aim of our meeting here now is to find a way to say, listen, we got it all wrong before, okay? The Igbo man, the Yoruba man, the Hausa man, they are the major tribes. But the middle belt is the glue, to my understanding, that's holding Nigeria together. Even though we have never really understood this, if we start to understand that and work together, like I say, I'm not a historian, but this is the picture I have in my mind of it, without going into any detail and start arguing with anybody about the narratives that I understand it. So we are looking for a way to put the mistakes of the past behind us and start to work together. So I would have thought that it is understand the middle belt so that we can work together. And there are traitors in every nationality in Nigeria, the Igbos, the middle belt, the Yoruba, the Hausa, they are traitors.
All right.
And they are always going to be traitors. So we will find a way to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. I saw Eli's hand up, but it seems we've lost him. Mr. Eli, if you're still here, the platform is yours.
Is Thompson still there? Thompson again?
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Eli? Mr. Eli? Mr. Eli, if you're not here, we are going to move on. I can see you as part of the participants, Mr. Eli Elisha. Okay, seems you've changed your mind about contributing or asking a question. Let's go back to our guest, Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
Is Thompson's there? Thompson, call Thompson, please.
Mr. Thompson, are you here too? Okay, Eli Elisha is raising up his hand again. Mr. Eli, your hand is up. The platform is yours. Okay, I don't know why Mr. Eli, it seems he's trying to unmute himself.
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I needed to be unmuted by the host. Been struggling to take care of this. I consider this platform a very sensitizing one and a point where minds can come together. Of course, there will be, in terms of community, there are diversities, and every diversity has a perspective. And when community come together, diversity comes together, and ideologies come together. Of course, there'll be a point where our mind will have to trigger against certain things because it is our perspective and context is reacting to it. And I really appreciate the fact that this platform is put on a non-biased perspective because we are looking for a way forward. However, there are more to this forum that I think would rather help the preaching of this of the advocacy for the salvation of our country in Nigeria. And this has to do with all rounding, because from this level, it is not just about the proposition we are given. The thing is, Nigeria has been marginalized by certain class of people. And until these people are broken down, whatever we say here will not go beyond the media. And Nigeria is a problem that was constituted by elites. Most of the people, we know it. We feel it, we see it. It's a narrative that is already affecting not just generational perspective of the land, it is more geographical, but we are more concerned about the geographical issue of our country. We are not talking about the generational perspective, how we can incorporate younger people into what we are carrying and preach this down to the lower class. And in as much as this forum is very important, I think it's all about ideology, and we need to reconscientize the minds of our people and our group and our community. I can't go to the Yoruba land and start talking to them. I can't go to an Hausa place and start talking to them. We are all responsible to start reorienting our people from the past mistakes, because it's important for us to know where this mistake came from, and we should be well informed to educate ourselves instead of pointing, accusing fingers and start raising blame. This forum is not for blame game, but we should be more attentive. And at times it could be painful when we hear someone speaking against my context. But I think this is the time that I need to be more sensitive to know what this person is saying. Do I have is my context having a part to this problem? If it is having a part, what role am I supposed to play down in my own context so that such ideology will continue to grow? And by so doing, we will start talking across Nigeria. But if we don't learn to pull back and start thinking about this issue in our context, even if we come on the round table like this, ideologies will always clash. So I am of the opinion that as we hear, let us take a retrospective how to deal with this issue from our own context, addressing issue, and start, because it's an ideology that is constituted in the Nigerian's mind, is ruling over us and is creating a divide.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eli.
Share this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eli. Let us hear from Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think the historical perspective is very enriching. We need to ask ourselves, why did Americans went to Afghanistan in the first instance? The Bush then are very clear that they need to take the war in America. Now, this Fulani herdsmen, we in the middle belters, we are in the fault line between the upper north and the south. If then the east, the southeast, the south, and the southwest are not safe. So it is clear that we need to stop the advancement of these people, and right from where the fault line is in the middle belt. So we need this cooperation. We need this understanding between the middle belters and the southeast and the south-south in order
Mr. Palmston? Mr. Palmston, I think we've lost Mr. Palmston. Probably his network is giving issues. Let us go back to Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, yeah. You've heard the comments, you've heard the reactions from the participants. Just before we let you go, because our time is fast spent, do you have anything to say?
Yes, the basic point is, as I said earlier, in my Igbo language, if you start prodding into the cloth of an old man, you actually get a mess out of it. Let us forget the past, except those parts that unite us. Let us look at unity in terms of our, in terms of the necessities of our present circumstances, the problems confronting us. And that is issue. The point before, if you look at the First World War, the First World War, Turkey was, joined Germany. Turkey, joined Germany. But in the Second World War, Turkey, realizing what they did, how to align with America and the other people. So not all the alliances that played out in the First World War actually played out in the Second World War. And that's so when we are talking about the past, we forget it. The present situation now is that there's need for the South to unite with the Middle Belt. Reason, we have this common problem. It's not a question of one going to help the other. The Igbo and the South are besieged. The Southerners are besieged as much as the Middle Belt are besieged. So it's not a question of one going to help the other or one being superior to the other. There must be mutual agreement, mutual sacrifice, mutual commitment, mutual patriotism, equal in terms within our different capabilities to approach a common problem, a common enemy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let us.
And that is what I'm concluding about in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us hear from Eluba Television.
Yeah, let me quickly ask you a question so that we don't waste time calling me. Let me quickly ask a question. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, you are aware that a group of Nigerians have gotten together to form an association called Southern and Middle Belt Alliance.
Yes.
And the object of this alliance is to put heads together, one, to see how they can develop an alliance to influence the outcome of the 2023 election.
Yes.
To have a president that will carry out their agenda that will favor the Southern and Middle Belt region. One. Unlike now that they are now besieged, like you said. Secondly, another agenda is how can they influence government policy to benefit the regions in general, because by benefiting these regions is benefiting the entire country. Like the title of the theme of your presentation is Saving the Middle Belt to Save Nigeria from Destruction. So in other words, by helping this region, you are also helping the entire country, because like you said, the Middle Belt is the glue that keeps Nigeria together. So how can they create a movement that will influence government policy to benefit the region? Another of their stated goal is, how can they be able to develop a movement of these 4 regions that could influence lawmaking capability? Take, for instance, the President Muhammadu Buhari administration some days ago announced a policy about cattle grazing. And you see how these have agitated a lot of minds. We also are aware that the National Assembly is about passing a law about the national waterways, open grazing, ruga, livestock. So how would they be able to form an organization that they will influence lawmaking and legislative action to benefit 4 regions? So my question is, do you think that this budding alliance between the southern regions and the Middle Belt will work? What are the obstacles you foresee these new organizations will face? And how can they be able to overcome these obstacles, if any, that we have identified?
Thank you very much. That's a very nice question, but looking at it from a professional point of view, these 2 factors you raised, these 2 variables you raised, are laudable and practicable, but within a given circumstance. What is that circumstance? The present situation, nobody of the grassroots, no Nigerian will listen to you when you are talking about mobilizing for presidency for 2003 without a supporting effort to confront the present insecurity problem. What the people, if you are going to Middle Belt and telling them we are getting our alliance for 2023 election, they will not listen to you. The issue now is that when you are talking of 2003 election, you present the present urgency, the present problem confronting them, confronting Nigeria, which is security. Let us confront this security in order to lay, because without confronting the present insecurity situation, you cannot lay a solid foundation or enabling environment for that 2023 election. So when you are talking about raising a new standard of leadership, a new standard of unity, a new standard of coalition between the South and Middle Belt, you do it in conjunction with the present problem, which is insecurity. The clip you showed us, like what you showed us about the killings, if you go and tell those people, let us build up for 2003 election, they will not listen to you. But when you tell them that our urgency now is to prepare ourselves and defend ourselves, they will listen to you. Because he who wants peace should also prepare for war. Because peace and war are interchangeable. They go together. Even after war, you still come back on the round table to discuss peace. And even seeking peace without war, you may not likely get the peace, especially when the opposing group has more, greater firepower than you. So we cannot do this without concurrent, to use your term, without concurrent, effort to address the present issue of insecurity in our country. When you do it, when you provide a solution to insecurity, whatever thing you tell the people to do, they do it for you. But we don't provide an alternative or a solution to the present problem of insecurity. Anything you are telling about 2003, about leadership, it won't be possible, because you have to be alive for you to vote in 2003. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. And that should conclude the program today. We have been discussing Save the Middle Belt to Save Nigeria from Disintegration. Although now we should adjust it to Understand the Middle Belt to Save Nigeria from Disintegration. Special thanks to our guest. He is the Director of Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. He is also a research fellow in exile at Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is also an expert in ethno-religious conflicts with particular focus on Black Africa and the Middle East. Here's Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Ada Elomba.
And special thanks to the people that participated in the program. It's been